Right. Sorry for no video yesterday. I was, busy? Yeah, let's go with that. Also, because I was waiting for the Queen's speech, I didn't want to offer any commentary until it happened. In short, they forgot social care. Now on with today, where a rather important event is taking place. What is that important event, you ask? Well, MPs are going to vote on whether to back the Prime Minister's plan for the UK to leave the EU on the 31st of January. This EU withdrawal agreement bill will also ban the government from extending the transition period beyond 2020. Boris Johnson believes it ends the delay, dither, rancour and provides certainty. Many opponents, not as many on the other side as there once was, say the bill leaves the UK's future uncertain and that agreeing a trade deal with the EU could take many years, something which the government firmly rejects. I guess if we had to take a stab in the dark at it, it would all come down to whether or not both sides know what they want. Today in Parliament, MPs are going to be debating this bill at what is called a second reading, and then vote on its general principles. Since the Conservatives have an 80-seat majority, the bill is expected to pass quite easily, before it moves on to further scrutiny by the MPs and then the House of Lords. The MPs have also been given a further 3 days, the 7th, 8th and 9th of January, to continue their debate in the Commons, with the government saying that they want it into law in time for the 31st of January Brexit deadline. Now the way I'm going to do this in January is, we're starting a new countdown, everyone. Yeah, I know, but what happens if it fails? It's going to be quite amusing if it did, but I don't think it will this time. This election has taught us one thing, and that one thing is, stop messing with the 2016 result. It is remarkable how silent a lot of MPs that were incredibly vocal about remaining are now. And I'm not referring to those that lost their seats. I'm referring to those who have realised, our idea of another referendum is dead. During an interview with the BBC, Brexit Secretary, soon to be obviously redundant position, Stephen Barclay, said that Friday would be a historic day for the UK. This being the day that bill gets passed. It would be incredibly funny if it didn't, but it is unlikely. I wonder if those that know they're going to lose will even bother voting, or whether they'll do the pouty child thing of just abstaining, when the division is called, just staying in their seats. Which would all be rather interesting. I'm looking forward to the speeches after the vote. Now, the full quote of what Stephen Barclay said on that show was that the reality is the British people in the general election made clear they want Brexit delivered, but also they want us to bring the country back together, to start the healing process and to move on to the many other issues in the manifesto that we want to focus on. Today is an opportunity, after 3 years of dither, of delay, of divisiveness, to actually deliver and step forward and move this legislation to leave by the 31st of January and be able to then start bringing the country back together. I don't think he realises, once Brexit's done, that's not going to bring the country back together. There's still going to be a large swath of people who are quite pouty about it. Now, there are some changes to this current bill that have been made compared to the last one. There are 5, and those would include legally prohibiting the government from extending the transition period. We already knew this. Second, allowing more UK courts to reconsider European Court of Justice rulings that have been retained in UK law after Brexit. The third, requiring ministers to report annually to Parliament on disputes with the EU under the Prime Minister's withdrawal agreement. 4. Repealing spent legislation that now serves no purpose. Seems like a given, really. The 5th one is the one I take issue with, losing a previous clause that strengthened workers' rights. As I am firmly in favour of enshrining EU law that supports and is better than our own workers' rights, I think it only right that we keep it. There are aspects of the EU I do like, okay. Workers' rights was right there. The government says with regards to the workers' rights, though, they will deal with this issue in a separate piece of legislation, which understandably has the TUC warning that the change will help drive down working conditions. The main accusation that the opposition has provided is that Mr Johnson is now deliberately resurrecting the threat of no deal. and that at the end of 2020, he is limiting the length of the transition period, which does support this view further. That being said by Jeremy Corbyn. Sir Keir Starmer describes the decision as reckless and irresponsible, and that the Prime Minister was prepared to put people's jobs at risk. Well, you're the only people whose voices seem to be edging Remain, but you've not quite said it, because you know how screwed you are. Sir Keir Starmer, by the way, everyone, potential leader of the Labour Party. Although if everyone else is to be believed, it must be Whamming! It must be Whamming! It should just be the best person for the job. But how one derives that from the Labour Party in its current mess is a mystery. Might I recommend not engaging in the bad tactics of the last shadow cabinet? The arrogance was just a bit unbecoming. Anyway, tonight, 9:30pm GMT, I'm streaming with Trups, where we shall be discussing Trump's impeachment, because Orange Man must go, everyone. And of course, the salt mines. They have been... I should also quickly apologise if I sound at all congested. I'm not under the weather. My body is doing a very good job fighting it. It's just a minor inconvenience.